My daughter-in-law told me, stop acting like your family. You're just the maid who won't leave. She made me clean the house all morning, then said, actually, we don't want you here at all. I left without a word, but the plan I was hatching would shatter her smile. I never wanted to live with my son and his wife. That wasn't my plan for retirement. After working for 33 years as a hospital cleaner, I just wanted peace. I had a small house in Thornton, Colorado, paid off. My plan was to sit on the porch, drink coffee, maybe get a little dog to keep me company. Then the cancer came. Stage 2 breast cancer hit me like a truck. Chemo, radiation, hospital stays, everything piled up. I tried to stay afloat, but the bills came faster than the checks. I sold my house to cover the costs. I was in remission, but broke. Couldn't afford rent anywhere. No savings left. So I called my son, Kyle. He was always the responsible one. I raised him and his sister alone after my husband died in a car crash. Kyle was only 10. I worked overtime, picked up night shifts. I did everything I could to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. Kyle had done well for himself. He got a degree, married young, and bought a house in Arvada. His wife, Natalie, was one of those women who posts on Instagram all day, always taking selfies and unboxing makeup. They didn't have kids. They said they were focusing on building their brand. When I called and asked Kyle if I could stay for a few months, just until I could figure out my next steps, he said yes right away. No hesitation. Told me, you always looked out for me. Of course I'll look out for you. Natalie didn't sound happy about it. But she didn't say no. I moved in with just 2 suitcases and a few boxes of old photos and clothes. I didn't want to be in their way. I stayed in the guest room. Kept my things tidy. I bought groceries when I could. I helped cook. I didn't want to be a burden. At first, Natalie kept her distance. She barely looked at me. She'd come into the kitchen and talk to Kyle like I wasn't there. She never offered to help with anything. If I folded laundry, she let me. If I did dishes, she said nothing. After about 2 weeks, she stopped hiding it. She started handing me things to clean. Like literally handing me a dish and saying, "Here, you can wash this." One time she left a pile of her laundry on the floor and said, "You're probably bored during the day anyway." I wanted to say something, but Kyle was always too busy or on his laptop. When I brought it up once, just mentioned that I felt like I was doing a lot, he said, "She's just adjusting. Give her time." So I gave her time. A month passed. Then 2. I was doing all the cleaning. I vacuumed. I scrubbed toilets. I wiped baseboards. I cooked most nights. Natalie stayed on the couch, scrolling her phone or recording her little videos. She had this look, like I was an intruder. Like I smelled bad. Like just being around me made her uncomfortable. But I stayed quiet. Until that Saturday morning. I had spent the whole morning cleaning the kitchen. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing behind the fridge. The place smelled like lemon cleaner. My back was aching, and I was sweating even though the window was open. Natalie walked in with her iced coffee and said, "You missed a spot under the microwave." "No, thank you." "No, good job." Just that. I stood up slowly. Looked at her. I said, "Natalie, I'm not your maid." She tilted her head, like I just said something funny. Then she laughed. Loud and mean. She said, "Stop acting like your family. You're just the maid who won't leave." I just stared at her. I couldn't speak. She took a sip of her coffee and added, "Actually, we don't want you here at all." That's when Kyle walked in. He had his phone in his hand. He looked at me, then looked away. Didn't say a word. I looked at him. I waited. I thought he'd defend me. Say something. Anything. He didn't. I went upstairs. Packed my bags. 2 suitcases. That's all I had. I walked out the front door without looking back. I didn't cry. I was too tired. I took the city bus to the downtown station. Found a bench. Sat down. I didn't know where I was going to sleep that night. I just sat. And that's when I remembered something. Something important. When Kyle and Natalie bought that house, I helped them with the down payment. He didn't have the full amount, and the market was tight. I gave him $40,000. Most of my savings at the time. I didn't give it as a gift. I had asked Kyle to put me on the title. He had. I remembered signing the papers at the bank with him. I never took myself off. Suddenly, I wasn't just a broke, homeless mother. I was a co-owner of the house they just kicked me out of. And I was done being quiet. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed at the Greyhound station, sitting upright on a metal bench while my bags sat at my feet. The lights stayed on all night. Every hour or so a loudspeaker would crackle and announce a bus to Pueblo or Cheyenne. I watched people come and go. None of them looked at me. Around 6 a.m., I went into the diner next door. Ordered black coffee. Sat in a booth by the window and stared out at the street. My hands were shaking, but not from the cold. I pulled out my phone. Opened my old email account. I hadn't used it much in years, but I found what I was looking for. An email from the title company, dated 3 years ago. Subject, Final Deed, Joint Ownership, 2823 Havenwood Lane, Arvada, Colorado. I opened the attached PDF. There it was. Owners, Kyle R. Thatcher and Maria J. Thatcher. They never removed my name. They didn't know it, but legally, I still owned half that house. I sat there for a long time. Just looking at the screen. Natalie wanted me gone. She thought I was the maid. She thought I didn't matter. She had no idea who she was dealing with. That Monday, I took the bus to the county clerk's office. I asked for a certified copy of the deed. Paid the fee. Took the paper in my hands and read it 3 times. Still listed. Still legal. Still mine. Next stop was a lawyer. I found a local real estate attorney named Mark Brenner, an older man with a kind face and a worn briefcase. I told him the story. Every piece of it. From the $40,000 to the insult in the kitchen. He didn't smile. He didn't laugh. He just nodded slowly and said, "Well, Mrs. Thatcher, you've got options." I liked the way that sounded. We went over everything. He explained that I had the right to force a sale or even move back in. But there was another option. A legal notice that would block them from selling or refinancing without my approval. A partition action. It would freeze the property until the court decided what to do. I didn't want to sell the house. I wanted them to squirm. I wanted Natalie to wake up and feel panic in her throat. Mark filed the paperwork that Friday. The next week, Kyle called me for the first time since I left. I let it go to voicemail. His voice sounded tight. Nervous. "Mom, we got something in the mail about the house. Can we talk? I think there's been some kind of mistake." I didn't call back. Then Natalie texted me. "Natalie, we just want to resolve this. Can you call us? Natalie, it's causing problems with our mortgage approval. This is serious. Natalie, we didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But this is extreme." I didn't answer. I let them sweat. Mark sent another letter. This one from the court, officially notifying them that they couldn't take out another loan, make renovations, or sell without my consent. Natalie posted something vague on her Instagram. A black and white photo of her crying with the caption, "Betrayal doesn't always come from enemies." She had no idea most of her followers didn't care. About a month later, Kyle showed up at the public library where I was using the computer. I didn't expect to see him there. He looked thinner. Eyes puffy. Hair a mess. He sat down across from me and said, "Can we please just talk?" I looked at him. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask why he didn't defend me. Why he let her say what she said. Why he didn't stop her. But I didn't say anything. I let him talk. He said they couldn't get approved for a loan to expand the house. Natalie wanted a bigger kitchen for her filming. They were planning to refinance and use the equity. The bank wouldn't go forward because my name was still on the title. He said, "We'll give you your $40,000 back if you just sign off." I laughed. Right in his face. "You think I want my money back?" I asked. "You think this is about money?" He looked confused. Hurt. Like I'd slapped him. "This is about respect," I said. "You let her treat me like dirt in my own house. You stood there and watched. And now you want my signature like I'm just a form to fill out." He said nothing. He just stared down at the table. Then he said, "We could lose the house." I nodded. "Yeah. You could." After that, things got quiet. Natalie didn't post for a while. Then, one day, a neighbor of theirs, Marcia, ran into me at the grocery store. She looked around before leaning in and whispering, "They're fighting. All the time. Natalie's been screaming about lawyers and court stuff." "I thought you moved out?" I just smiled. I did. But the best was yet to come. Because Natalie had a secret. One I was about to uncover. I found out by accident. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just bored one afternoon, sitting at the library again, flipping through local business reviews online. Out of curiosity, I looked up Natalie's so-called brand. She had a website where she sold beauty kits and promoted her affiliate links. Most of it looked like junk. But then I clicked on her business name at the bottom of the page, Natalie Ray Cosmetics LLC. That's when I noticed something strange. The business was registered under the same home address, 2823 Havenwood Lane. I clicked through the state registry link. The business had been formed just 6 months ago. But here's what got me, the business loans tied to it were in both Kyle's and Natalie's names. And the collateral listed? The house. She had taken out a $95,000 business loan, secured by equity in the house. But because my name was still on the deed, that loan shouldn't have gone through. My stomach dropped. That meant they'd either forged my signature, or they lied to the lender. Either way, they were in serious trouble. And they probably didn't even know I knew yet. I brought everything to Mark, my lawyer. He scanned the paperwork and let out a long whistle. "If this is what it looks like," he said, "they're in breach of multiple laws. Fraud, potentially." He contacted the lender on my behalf. The loan department confirmed something shocking. There was a signed quitclaim deed on file from me. Dated 2 months ago. Only I never signed it. The signature was a shaky version of mine, but it wasn't mine. I hadn't picked up a pen in front of a notary in over a year. Natalie, or maybe both of them, had forged my name. That changed everything. Now it wasn't just a family dispute. It was criminal. Mark helped me file a fraud report. We submitted the forged deed for investigation. The county launched an inquiry. I gave them my handwriting samples. The notary listed on the form? She was a friend of Natalie's cousin. It looked like they'd staged the whole thing. Things started to unravel fast. The bank froze Natalie's business account. The house was put under temporary legal restriction. Kyle's credit was flagged for review. And I hadn't even said a word to them yet. Then, one night around 10 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Natalie. She was crying. Not her fake Instagram tears. Real, ugly crying. You've ruined everything, she said, her voice shaky. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted my life to work. You don't know what pressure I'm under. I listened to the whole message twice. Then I deleted it. She had no idea what pressure really looked like. She had never scrubbed blood off a hospital floor at 3 a.m. while her husband lay in a morgue. She'd never gone without so her kids could eat. She didn't even know what it meant to be tired. She thought I was just a maid who wouldn't leave. I was about to show her what happens when the maid owns the keys. A week later, Kyle tried again. He met me outside the library. Looked worse than before. Said Natalie had moved out temporarily. Said they were taking a break. He looked at me and asked, "Why are you doing this to us?" I looked right back and said, "I'm not doing anything. You both did this to yourselves." He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue but didn't. Then he said something that stopped me cold. "She's pregnant." I didn't say anything at first. 3 months, he said. She just found out. That's why she was stressed. That's why I held up my hand. Stop. Don't start making excuses now. He lowered his head. I walked away. But that night, I didn't sleep. Not because I felt sorry for her, but because for the first time, I had to ask myself what kind of legacy I was leaving behind. They were about to lose everything. And now, there was a baby in the middle of it. But I wasn't going to stop. Because Natalie had crossed a line. She forged my name. She kicked me out of my own home. And now, she was going to learn what real consequences looked like. I decided to let it all play out in court. I didn't pull back. I didn't forgive. I didn't soften just because Natalie was pregnant. That baby wasn't here yet, and I wasn't going to pretend that made her forgery disappear. The court date came fast. The judge was a serious woman, gray suit, no nonsense. Mark laid out everything. The deed, the forged signature, the bank loan, the fake notary. Kyle sat at the table beside Natalie, both of them pale and silent. Natalie kept wiping her eyes with a tissue, trying to look small. Kyle wouldn't even meet my eyes. The judge asked me one question directly: "Do you want to force the sale of the home?" I looked at Natalie. At Kyle. And then I said, "Yes." It was quiet in the courtroom. No one said anything for a long time. Then the judge nodded and said, "So ordered." A court-appointed realtor was assigned to sell the house. I had legal permission to go back and take inventory of anything that was mine. I didn't need much. I didn't want dishes or towels. I just wanted them to see me walk through that front door again. The look on Natalie's face when I came in with the agent was something I'll never forget. She was sitting on the couch in pajamas, her hair a mess, her laptop open with a half-written post on the screen. She didn't say a word. Neither did I. I walked into the guest room, grabbed my mother's old quilt, some photos they'd left stuffed in a box, and the little ceramic angel Kyle had made in 3rd grade. Then I left. The house sold quickly. They had taken out too much money against it. After paying off the loans, legal fees, and damages, there wasn't much left. My lawyer made sure of that. I got a full half of what remained. Around $72,000. I used it to buy a small 1-bedroom condo back in Thornton. Nothing fancy, but clean, safe, and mine. Natalie and Kyle had to move into a 2-bedroom rental. Far from the nice part of Arvada they'd gotten used to. I heard she tried to keep her business going, but with no filming space and a frozen account, she eventually gave it up. Kyle took a job at a hardware store. Last I heard, they were still together, but barely speaking. Natalie's family had stopped helping her. Even her followers started fading away once the drama dried up. The best part? That forged quitclaim deed, the one she used to try and erase me, got her on probation. The court let her off easy because of the pregnancy, but it's on her record now. If she ever tries to apply for another loan or business license, that fraud charge shows up first. She went from filters and followers to budgeting coupons and carpooling to doctor visits. One day, maybe a year later, I was standing in line at the grocery store. I saw Kyle in the next lane over. He looked older. Worn. He was holding diapers and formula. Alone. He saw me, but didn't wave. Just looked down and turned away. That was fine. He made his choice. He stood by while his wife threw me out, called me names, and treated me like dirt. He watched me break my back cleaning his home and didn't say a word. He forgot who raised him. Who gave him everything. Now he remembered. But it was too late. I don't talk to them now. I don't see the baby. I don't even know if it's a boy or girl. That might sound harsh, but you don't get to spit on someone and then ask them to babysit later. I gave them chances. I stayed silent for too long. I gave them kindness when I had nothing left. And they laughed in my face. Now they know who I am. I'm not the maid. I'm the woman who owns the walls you sleep in. And when you betray me, I'll tear those walls down with my bare hands. And walk away smiling.